Welcome to Intune Training, the place to learn how to use Microsoft Intune. The Steve and Adam Show with Steve.
Hi, Adam.
Adam's not here. He's still not here.
Adam, where are you, man?
You got his number? We should really try and contact that guy.
We should just try and add him to this call like random.
I don't think that's going to come across too well. Anyway, Steve, how are you?
Very good, Ben. How about yourself?
I am lovely, sir. What are we talking about today?
iOS. It's not that bad.
Fine. Okay, so all right. Steve roped me into doing a bunch of Apple things a couple of weeks ago. Told me it was going to be 3. This is video 4.
Well, no. It was 3 on that day, and there's always going to be more.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, we only showed you how to add a Mac to Apple Business Manager, and we had the precedent videos that were needed to be able to complete that workflow.
All right, so what are we doing now?
So today we're going to talk about, well, how do I do the out-of-box enrollment for iOS into my Intune tenant? So to set the stage, we've already imported our iOS device into Apple Business Manager, which has been assigned and synced into the Intune portal. Cool. So it's the same method as using it for macOS, except you use the Apple configurator on your laptop to upload it.
Sure.
To be completely transparent, we just didn't feel like doing a whole heap of editing to show you that part of it. Exactly.
So basically, go back and watch those videos. The experience that we're about to show you is essentially exactly the same, but we're filtering it to specifically target the iOS devices, just so that you can see what the experience looks like on an iOS device.
Yep.
Cool.
And the important thing to note is we're stepping through this in the lens of you've purchased this device pre-registered into your Apple Business Manager, and you just need to create the profiles to continue working.
Yeah.
And your pre-existing stuff you don't need to worry about, or you handle that at a later date. Cool. So now that we've set that baseline, what I'm going to quickly do is share my screen, and we're going to start in the Intune portal. And then once we've stepped through setting up the profile, we'll switch across to my demo iPhone, and everything working correctly, I'll be able to show you that workflow working successfully.
Awesome.
So we're here in the Intune portal, and we're going to go to devices, and we're going to go enroll devices, where we'd traditionally go for autopilot and everything associated. And that's what we're looking at from the iOS point of view. So we go and select Apple enrollment program tokens, and then we select our Intune training tenant heart, and we select our profiles. If you select devices, you'll see all your devices that are enrolled. You'll note here that I have one missing a profile, which is my iOS device.
Gotcha.
So then we go across to profiles, and we're going to create our iOS profile.
So the one that we've got there is for our macOS one that we did in the last video. And then,
so you'll see macOS.
Sure.
And you'll see where it's registering it to. So we're going to create our iOS profile, and we'll give this a name, which is, and obviously we need to follow our naming convention.
Of course.
iOS.
Awesome.
And we're selecting our iOS device. From here, we're going to use user affinity because we like user affinity. It's awesome. It does everything that we need. We're going to select the company portal, or we can select Setup Assistant with Modern Authentication. Modern Authentication is pretty awesome in the sense that it's going to do the MFA pop while you're going through the process.
Sure.
And then it'll send down the company portal.
Okay.
So you'll see here, company portal will be deployed to users as required app for device registration.
So we're going to go. Would you say that there's a benefit to doing modern authentication over the simple company portal solution, or is it?
So if you go and lock it using company portal, what that means is you can't, and you select yes here, you can't use that phone until company portal is set up.
Gotcha.
It'll lock it and wait until the app is installed before you're allowed to do anything.
Okay, that makes sense. And
it needs to be a VPP app.
Yeah. So, and again, the first video of the iOS or the Mac OS series that we did explains how to package that stuff. So go back, watch that if you haven't.
Slightly different for company portal. on the iOS, you need to go to Apple Business Manager and purchase the app in there, and it'll deploy out to your PC like you would for Store for Business.
Okay, so very similar to the Store for Business stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think actually our first looks at Apple Business Manager, we talked about that and how to do that deployment.
Cool.
So we're going to select it as company portal, and we're going to run it in single app mode until authentication. And this basically will lock down the device to say you can only run company portal once you come out of the out-of-box experience.
That's cool.
So then from there, we're going to do a locked enrollment because we can. We're going to deny all because we don't want. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. It will the charging port on the device will only work for charging purposes.
Interesting.
So you no longer have the prompt to trust when you do that.
Yeah, this is for all intents and purpose a brick until it ticks the box of what we want.
Well, no, it's more when you if you look at the previous video where we were talking around Windows Portal devices.
Yeah, for sure.
And we set this to deny all, it's going to not render a drive letter for your computers from the device side.
It's not a usable device until it's actually properly enrolled.
No. This is ongoing.
Oh.
So this is where we're saying going forward, this is how you can use that port from a sync with computers.
So you can't use your phone as a portable device or a storage device. That's cool.
Yeah. And then the last one is you can do the Apple configure with certificate. So that's if you need to go and change the device. And then you have to have a certificate to be able to do that. But we're not going to do that because we're not going down that level.
Right.
We're going to allow that because I'll probably need to use that to reset the device or something in the future.
Probably, yeah.
Let's be honest. We're not doing device template name because why?
Exactly.
We're going to go next. Give it a department. So obviously this is an exec phone. And the department phone number is going to be Stephen@intune.training.
This is a fun one because it's not a strongly typed field, so you can put in whatever you want.
That's
it can
correct.
be an email address. It can be a phone number. We discussed this in one of the previous videos.
Yep, the Mac OS one. Yep. So we're going to hide location services. We're going to hide restore, Apple ID, as much as possible because I don't want my staff using Touch ID. I don't want them using Pay ID or Apple Pay, Zoom, and that's not the app. That's how zoomed in and out the UI is. We don't want Siri diagnostic data. We're just going to turn off as much as we can.
Why don't you just go up to the top and toggle everything and then turn on what you want? Hey, look at that. So everything's now hidden.
Yep.
Cool.
But we will leave on.
Passcode.
Actually, we're going to turn on Touch ID and passcode because that's security. Yeah, we're going to force that. And we go create. So that's simple. That's done. Now we need to set our default profile. And this is where we go and set that for iOS. So we click OK. And that's it.
Cool.
Well, sort of. Almost.
Almost.
Because we've said that we have to have company portal on the device, we need to go and deploy it. So we've already synced it into our portal. And what you'll see here, we have Microsoft. We have Microsoft Intune Company Portal, and we have Intune Company Portal. They're both iOS, but one is Volume Purchasing Program or VPP app, and one is Store app. So the Store app is where you've gone to the App Store and grabbed the link and added it that way.
Yep.
The other one is we've pushed it from the Apple Business Manager and have full control over it from a business point of view.
Yep.
If there was costs associated, the iOS Store app means the end user has to pay for the license, whereas if you use a volume purchasing program, you as the company pay for the license.
Sure. So and again, VPP is similar to how you would do a store for business app purchase. Yeah.
Yep, exactly the same process, right? But in this scenario, we want to make sure that we're using that Intune Company Portal from the VPP.
Yep.
If you use Store app, it's for unregistered devices for all intrinsic purposes. Previously, and I haven't tested this in quite a few years now, But previously, if you had more than 3 apps assigned via the store app methodology to a device that you then deploy out, it will sit there and try and install them all at the same time, even though it only has a slot for 3 at a time, and it'll throw errors constantly while it's doing the rest. It may have been fixed. That was my experience previously. So I'm just calling that out as test it out if you're going to go down that path. But we highly recommend using the VPP. And we're going to go here and we're going to go to properties. And
sign that bad boy. Because
we're lazy here at Intune Training, we're just going to go all users. Don't do all users. Go and target it to only the people that are using iOS. But in some circumstances, it might actually make sense to do all users.
It is one of those things with the company portal that, like, the standard rules don't apply. You need this to deploy, wide and far, so it sort of makes sense.
Cool. So we now have our device, and I'm now going to flip over to my iPhone. So we've gone and set up the policy. I'll step that across, and you'll now see that I'm at the out-of-box experience for my iPhone. So what we're going to quickly step through here is you need to make sure that the device is saying ready to enroll. That's why we've got that little bit of an awkward cut there, because I screwed up. I didn't make sure the policy was assigned. It is now, so we should be able to have it actually work properly this time. So I'm just going to quickly flick over to my iPhone now, where you'll see a black screen and it'll pop up. So you'll note that this is a different screen than what you'd traditionally see on your iOS doing the out-of-box experience, because I'm running the beta of the next version. We went through that last session when we were adding the macOS device, and it had to be the beta version. So we're going to go select English, and we're going to select Australia here.
And it's also worth noting that everything that we're doing requires the beta at the moment. In a little bit, doesn't need beta.
No. So this stuff doesn't need the beta.
Okay.
So this stuff is all around on existing devices.
Sure.
Beta was only required to add a Mac to Apple Business Manager.
Okay.
So what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to switch my camera so I can put in my Wi-Fi password without showing the world. And Ben will thank me because he won't have to edit the video. And it's just connecting, and now you'll see that it's taking a few minutes to activate my phone. So it's going and making a call to Apple and saying, what do I need to do with this serial number and this device ID? From there, it will go, hey, you've got an app. It's actually associated with Apple Business Manager, which is in turn associated with this MDM provider, being Intune Training. And here's where our out-of-box experience comes up for remote management. So we're going to select next on that. And it's going to go and configure everything for us. So we only have 2 things that we need to set during the out-of-box experience, which is the Touch ID and the passcode. So it's going and stepping through all of the other steps for us, much the same as we would with an autopilot profile. And once it gets to that point where it needs us to complete those 2 tasks, we'll complete them, and then we'll go into the company portal and sign in there as well.
Steve, at this point, is this pulling down the company portal application as well?
I believe so.
Okay.
My understanding is, look, between a whole heap of things, it's doing a whole heap of
It's doing everything.
Yeah.
So technically,
it's busy.
If we want to call it the ESP stage of the enrollment, we could. Yeah, cool. Okay.
Except it's just not showing you what it's doing.
Sure. But if we turned around and we use the modern authentication mechanism of we have those options there, would this experience be slightly different?
I believe so, but I've not tested that workflow.
Cool.
So it's something that we probably should test, but not today.
Yeah, all good.
So you'll see here now we have passcode and Touch ID to set up. So I'm just going to quickly set up my Touch ID. And this is the same as
selling his fingerprint information to Apple as we speak.
This is the same as doing Windows Hello for Business.
Yeah.
Just for the iPhone, which is smart. It makes your life easier, except for if you're out on a misadventure and somebody wants to sign into the device. So I'm using a really complex pin here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. don't use it in production. This is demos and showing how things work. So now that's going to go up, and you'll see that I have guided access app required. So I can't do anything until company portal is on there, and it will automatically launch it. So you'll see here it just switched across. When that blinks off, you'll see that company portal is loading up on the screen.
Okay.
So it's automatically installing that for me. And then once it's there, it's going to force me to use it. It should anyway, but we'll go.
Hey, look at that.
And we need to sign in. And this is where it's going to go through that traditional sign-in process.
Yep.
Of course, I can do that, but I'm not going to. And I'm just going to switch my camera while I put in my password.
Do it.
So I've put my password in. It's thinking at the moment while it's going and registering the device into the tenant, and you'll see that it's loading company resources for me. Now it'll take a little bit of a beat to go through that process, but you'll now see that it's all come up. I'm going to say I want notifications because they're important, and we're going to set up that last part of Intune training access. And this is where it's going to say it's managed, and we have our compliance policies assigned.
Cool. So the actual policies don't assign until this stage, which makes sense.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, cool.
And look, we don't have policies set up on this tenant at the moment. And that's just because we haven't gone through that part of the demo scenario. This is where you'd set up your compliance policy, much the same as you traditionally would. So I just need to sign in again because it's a second auth. And what we'll see here is it'll say, do we want to update the app? Yes, of course, we definitely want to update it. And you'll see that I'm getting my MFA prompt, which I'm just going to quickly approve. And we're going to say update as well. So you always want to keep the app up to date because that's important. So now you'll see the applications that are available to me on my iPhone.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Super simple.
Yeah, so I think this is also not just okay, so this is also my apps, as in cloud applications, not just applications to install. So when I went filtered and it needs to be registered, that's where it's going to sit there and go, oh, okay, cool. And we've got the rest of the apps.
Yeah, gotcha.
So if I go VPN, it'll go, actually, no, this isn't going to work on your computer because it needs to be Windows computer.
That's cool.
So then we can also go here and look at our other devices. And we can see our support page there. And yeah, so there's our phone. What we'll quickly step across into is going to settings. Under general, if we go to VPN and device management, you'll now see that I have a management profile, and I can see all of the information about the profile that we're sending out to that device.
Yeah, that's cool. And as per in the previous video about the macOS, the end user has no control over deleting that from this, which is super important.
That's correct. The other part to note is, unlike if you were to do this as an unmanaged device to register it, the user doesn't need to authorize the management profile. We're explicitly going in there and saying, you are getting this management profile.
Yeah, sure.
And you don't need to approve it. So that's the big difference. And what this gives you as well, and why you want to use Apple Business Manager, is if the employee leaves the organization, because the device is registered into Apple Business Manager, it's not tied to their Apple ID, so you don't need to go with a receipt to claim the device back to get it moved on to the next person.
Yeah, nice. Very cool.
So I think that's it, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, that was really simple. But obviously what makes it really simple is all of the work that we did in the last videos to set all of this up. So hopefully you can understand, or you've seen in this video, that once you've got the backend configured, there's very little difference between a Mac OS device and an iOS device. The onboarding experience is very similar.
Exactly.
And as long as the person setting things up actually assigns the policy, things work perfectly.
Exactly.
That's really good. Cool, Steve. Well, hopefully, maybe that's the last Apple video that I need to do for a while.
No.
No. Okay. Cool.
No.
Well, I guess I'm in for the long haul. So everyone else that's doing this stuff and needs more videos on this, there will obviously be more. We're going to be looking at doing a lot more stuff with Android as well.
Yes.
So stick around. There'll be a lot more fun content coming up. But for now, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.
Bye.